Hey guys, welcome back to Carnage Comics. I'm Adam. Today we're doing a top 10 video of my favorite modern day comic artists. A lot of these guys are up and coming young guys. Some of them have been doing it a long time, but I got a whole stack here of comics that I own by these artists that I love so much. And we're going to take a look at several that I don't own that I would like to get my hands on. All right, let's start this list off with number 10, Mr. Nathan Zerdy. So, what do I currently own by Nathan Zerdy? Well, I got Harley Quinn, number 38. This is an homage cover. I love everything about this, the way he draws Batwoman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. It's just a sexier version of the original. Everything about it. I love the subtle lines on this cover, and I'm a huge Batwoman fan, so that one is just awesome. So next up we've got Batman number 132. This has got Batwoman on it and Catwoman. And I just love the story that this tells. I love how, you got Batwoman searching for Catwoman and she's got these pearls and just the way everything is drawn here. I'm a huge Batwoman fan. And I actually saw this at a convention and just had to have it. Probably paid a little bit more, but when it's an artist that I love, I will kind of go above and beyond sometimes at a convention. So weakness I got, I guess. Anyways, so the reason that Nathan's number 10 for me is while I love a lot of what he does sometimes lean into kind of like cartoon style, and that's just not for me. So I kind of end up passing on half his stuff because of that. But anyways, let's move on to some stuff I don't own that you might find particularly interesting that is just wonderfully drawn. First up is ASM 40, the Zeb Wells run. This is a black cat pounce kind of pose, and she has these frills that just really accentuates her figure, and this cover really just slaps, guys. This is a sick cover, and the reason I don't own it is I'm out on Zeb Wells' run. I just was not a fan after Gang War. I was just out. Just wasn't for me. I'm excited to jump back into ASM with Joe Kelly and whoever the creative team is next, but yeah, I don't own that one. I try to avoid cover buys because it can get expensive if you do that. So anyways, moving on, we got Batman Fear State Alpha 1. And this is a Poison Ivy cover. And I'm not sure who the colorist on this. I'll put it up here. I love the color contrast on this with the red and the green. But I particularly love the Poison Ivy. It's just very retro, pinup girl style. And the stockings, just everything about this is butter. This is just a buttery cover. Scarecrow in the background is just very menacing, and everything from the roses to Poison Ivy herself is just great cover. Next up, we've got Power Girl number 1, and this was a set series of covers he did where he put tattoos on his pinups. And this one, because it's Power Girl, it's got retro Superman and Batwoman and Supergirl, and I love the way he does these pinups, man. This slaps, man. It just big time gets me, and love everything about this. Is a beautiful cover. All right, moving on, we've got Rise of the Powers of 10. It's a Storm variant. I love everything about this, from the lightning and the background and the way she's drawn. I love the way he does subtle lines on his pinups, just really to accentuate different areas, and it's beautiful. The reason I don't own this one, again, same thing. I just was not in on the content of this book. I was not in at the end of the Krakoa age, whatever you want to call it. It just wasn't for me. And last, we've got Superman number 16. This is a book came out, I think, just last week. Probably still get it at your stores. It's a Zatanna cover, and it's just very retro. I love the retro look that he can sometimes bring, and everything from the stockings to the top hat. Zatanna is just one of my favorite characters. And the Superman in the background and the colors, just everything about this is it's one of my favorite, covers of Zatanna I've seen, next to the Bring Down the House stuff, which we'll get to one of those here later in the list. So that is number 10, Nathan Zerdy. Let's move on to our next artist, Nick Klein. All right, so Nick Klein is an up-and-coming artist. He was in the Stormbreaker program, which is basically young, aspiring artists that Marvel wants to spotlight, and they think that they're going to move on and do great things. There's a description of what the Stormbreaker program is if you go to their website, but he has really taken off, and he's become one of my favorite comic book artists. I've got quite a few books of his. There we go. They're all from the same series, but we'll kind of go through each one of these, starting with number 14 of The Incredible Hulk. So that's number 14. We'll kind of talk about these all at the end. There's too many to talk about each one. And so the thing about Nick Klein that I love is his style. Man, it's just this horror kind of style. The lines on his books, man, they just really pop, and it's just really unique, and I just love everything about it. I love everything about this story. The writer on this is Philip Kennedy Johnson, and he's done a great job with the story. And I love the Charlie character that they introduced, and as well as in this they had a short little 3-part series of a Ghost Rider from World War II. That was really cool. It's been a little bit of a slow burn, and here's a perfect example of that horror style that Nick really just brings to the table. And then this, of course, is probably my favorite one here, and this is issue number 1 of his Incredible Hulk series. You know, and on the interior of this book, he's done all the covers, I think, but he hasn't done all the interiors. And when he's not there on the interior of this book, like, you know it really struggles. There's been a couple that have been passable, but man, I love this story when he's on it. And let's move on to some stuff again that I don't own that you would find particularly interesting. Since I had so many here that I actually own, we're not going to take a look at as many that I don't. But the first one is from 2018, and this is like when he started publishing for Marvel. And I don't know if he has any DC stuff. Do I have DC stuff? I think most of his stuff has all been Marvel. All right, so the first up is Deadpool number 1. I love Deadpool. It's one of my favorite characters, and this is just a great cover. Nothing too flashy, just a great cover. Next up, we have Thor number 16. This is an homage cover, and it's funny because this is before he started Hulk, and you could tell he's a big Hulk fan because this cover is an homage to Hulk. And he has several Thor covers out there, so if you're interested, you can go check them out. Next up, it's a Stormbreaker variant. It is X-Men number 21 from last year, and I just love everything about this cover. It's got his horror influence along with a saber-toothed tiger, which is an actual saber-tooth, not the character, Wolverine, and Rogue. Rogue's one of my favorites, X-Men for sure. And that's it for Mr. Nick Klein. So moving on, let's talk about number 8, Brett Booth. Got a couple covers here. So I have everything from $3.49 on. He did a couple covers for those issues, but he's done all of the interiors. So the first one I got here is from issue 350. And he has been amazing on the interiors of these books, and I like both of these covers I have. I forget what this one is. I want to say it's 352. I'm not sure. 350 something. But that's a sick cover. And he did some Gunslinger Spawn stuff, which I heard was spectacular, but I got in on Spawn at issue 349. and it's been an amazing run so far. And I heard he was amazing with Gunslinger. But let's take a look at some stuff that I don't own that are not really Spawn, but some other stuff he did before he got on to Spawn. So the first thing we got here is a Dynamite series called Cherish. I think it was a 4-part issue, 4-part series, and every one of these is a strong pinup cover. I love this first one, but you can see he can draw more than just superheroes. He draws women spectacularly well, and this cover, it slaps. So next up, we've got Aquaman, number 49. And I think what I love about this cover is not Aquaman himself, but it's actually the people that are terrified and like running for their lives. Just their facial expressions and the way they were drawn. This is just a great cover. Next up, we have Gunslinger Spawn. This is just such a simplistic cover. It's just a revolver with chains. But, dude, it just, like, it screams the Wild West. And it does it so simply while also, you know, letting you know that this is Spawn. And I love everything about this cover. Next up, we have the Joker, Daffy Duck. So the reason I included this is you could just see the inspiration that McFarlane had on Booth, and like everything about this just screams Spawn. And everything from the way Daffy is drawn to the way the Joker is drawn, it's just kind of a cool cover. And it's Daffy Duck, so. All right, next up we have Spawn number 358. This is an up-and-coming cover. This cover comes out, I believe, this month, or I think this is probably a couple months away. I think we're on 357, or is it 6? I don't know. It's hard to keep track of the numbers. This will be in the next couple months, but this is a 6 Spawn cover. Finally, we have DC vs. Vampire Killers. So this is an homage of Batman 423, which is a McFarlane cover. So again, you know that McFarlane inspired this guy. And you can see, like, this is actually better in a lot of ways than 423. If you actually know the story of 423, it was kind of a rush job. And so, like, there's some color issues with that cover, and I like this one. It's pretty similar, but obviously Batman's a vampire, and it's just got a little bit more detail. So I love everything about this cover, and I think I'd like to get my hands on one. And that is it for Brett Booth. Like I said, his interiors are really what I love about him, but he's got some great covers too. Let's move on to our next artist, Gabriel Dell'Otto. All right, let's talk about Gabriel Dell'Otto. I just have one book by him, and it's actually an Uncle Scrooge and the Infinity Dime book. This is a sick cover. I mean, for an Uncle Scrooge book, I really love this. But that's actually the only book I have by him. That's when I first discovered Gabriel, is with that book. And I've not been in comics for super long. And I tried to get the Hulk number 14, but that recently came out. I just missed it though. So let's talk about stuff though that I don't own that are really cool covers. The first one is Batman number 149. And man, I had to drop Batman because I just had too many Batman books. I'm reading Jason Aaron and Batman Offworld. I was reading Batman and Robin, and so on and so forth. There's just was a lot of Batman stuff, so I dropped the main series because I just wasn't jiving with it at the time. But man, I missed this cover. This cover with Bane holding Batman down is one of the best Bane covers I've seen in a long time, and I love everything about this. Might actually still try and find this. Next up is a Carnage book. It is Extreme Carnage Alpha 1. So something that Gabriel does amazing is draw symbiotes. I've seen a few of his Venom and Carnage books, but this particular one, this Carnage, man, I'd love just to have this like an art piece and like hang it on my wall. Like have this framed. This is a sick cover. And this was before I was into comic books, so he's got some other symbiote ones, some Venom ones, and stuff like that they're really good. All right, now we have Harley Quinn number 33. And so what I love about this is it's a pinup, yes, but it's her facial expression. Like she has that crazy look in her face and it just really comes through. And it's like when you think of Harley Quinn, this is what you think of, right? It's that crazy, beautiful look that she can have. And I love the hammer in this and just everything about this cover, just very done very well. Now we have the Incredible Hulk number 14. This is the issue I missed out on, and I think what I love about this is how Hulk is just drawn so menacing, and it's just how Hulk should be. A lot of the times, like he's just terrifying in this cover, and I love it. And so I hope to find this at a convention or maybe some other store sometime. But really cool cover. All right, and now we have finally Penguin issue number 3. So I missed out on this series. I heard it was really good, but I love the facial expression again. I think that he just does faces so well, but I love the smoking gun and just the attention to detail. Everything about this cover is just popping, man. This a great cover. So that's Gabriel Dell'Otto. Let's move on to our next artist, Inhyuk Lee. All right, so for Inhyuk Lee, I just have one cover for this as well, and this is the most recent Inhyuk Lee, and it is the Black Widow Venomous. I love how Black Widow is drawn here with the symbiote. I love the red hair. The colors really just pop on this, and it's just one of my favorite covers of Black Widow I've seen in a long time. So that's the only cover I have by him. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm pretty new to comic books, and that's the only one I've gotten so far. So another comic that I recently missed out on, there was a mix-up at the comic book store, but it was Deadpool number 1. This is the current run, and it was a foil, and I love Deadpool. I've said it once, I'll say it again. And this foil cover really is sick. I love the lines for the swords and just how they're accentuated in this, and everything about this is just great. It's a great cover. Next up, we have Miles Morales Spider-Man. So this is just was instantly iconic, and like this is just one of those books I think that I wish I had, but I wasn't reading Miles Morales, and I think it's going to be one of those ones that if depending on the print run, that could be worth some money at some point. But I love the Hobgoblin. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man Rogues Gallery villains. I love Green Goblin, but that's going to probably rub some people the wrong way. I like Hobgoblin a little bit more, mostly because of the 90s cartoon. Next up, we have Power Rangers The Return number 2. I just love the pose here. I think this is a great pose and just drawn really well. It's kind of a cool cover. Next up, we have Silk number 2. So something that Inhyuk has done a lot of is Silk. I just particularly liked this issue, this cover. I love how it, I don't know if that's symbiote or what it is. I don't know a lot about Silk, guys. But it's like almost like swallowing her. And I think she's just drawn really well. Next up is the latest issue of the Ultimates. I love this new Hawkeye, and this Hawkeye, it's really cool. I love the Native American influence. Like, this is just a really cool cover. All right, that is it for Inhyuk Lee. Let's look at Ji-Young Lee. And the first book here is Spider-Gwen, annual number 1. She has that whole ballerina kind of vibe as she's putting on her ballet shoes and still wearing her costume. This is just a sick cover, and I love everything about it. Next up, we have Batman Who Laughs number 4. Batman Who Laughs is just one of my favorite Batman villains of all time. You have Joker and Bruce Wayne, and you know, they come together, and I just love the look of him, everything about him. And then you have a buttery smooth Harley Quinn on the cover here, who is just drawn really well. And yeah, just awesome cover, just awesome piece of art. Next up, so this is Deceased number 1, DC East, right? Deceased, I get it. Anyways, what I love about this is you have Harley Quinn, who's really sexy, right? and in this she's dead eating a person, and like it's weird because you're like pulled towards it because you're like, hey, she's kind of sexy, but then it's like, oh, but she's a zombie. Like it's this weird mesh of horror, and I don't know, maybe it makes me sick to like this cover, but this is an awesome cover. So anyway, all right, next up we got Silk number 4, another Silk. We got Gwen on one side, we got Silk on the other. I think what I love about this is how the shading is done and the smooth lines, like everything about it. I love the serious, irritated look coming from Silk, and then that kind of come hither, puffy lips, looking at you from Gwen, and just the spider web in the background. Like everything about this cover is awesome. Next up, this is a new series. It's Gotham City Sirens, and he's doing one for each character in this series. This is probably my favorite one. However, I'm just not in on this. This is just not a book for me. Anyways, but this is Catwoman, and just drawn really well. He does great pinup work. All right, next, we have The Batman's Grave number 6. This is from a few years ago. So I just wanted to kind of show off the fact that he can do more than just pinups. I love everything about this, from the way the rain drops off the cowl, like that beads up and is flowing down, to the serious expression on his face, like the face expression, the batarang, like everything about this cover is really good. Next up, another new book. It's The Uncanny X-Men number 1, and I love the savage barbarian, just look of this cover with Rogue on it. I love the way she looks younger in this, and just everything about it. Like it's a great cover. Last but not least is Venom number 19, and this is probably one of my favorite covers that I've discovered in the last few months. I'm going to get this. This is a cover by, I don't know anything about this series. I don't know who this is, but this cover is sick. It is just a symbiote, and it's got teeth, and she's like peeling it apart. Just it's I don't know what to say about it. I'm speechless. I'm gonna have to get a copy of this. I'm gonna have to hunt it down. But Ji-Young Lee is a great artist. I've really just discovered, and everything I've seen from him, I'm gonna be buying a lot. So that is it for him. Let's move on to our number 4. Number 4 today is Alex Ross. All right, so Alex Ross has been making books for a long time, but I would still consider him a modern artist because he's still putting out a lot of content. Let's take a look at some of the books that I have from him. Let's start with his current run, and I love all of these covers, of Avengers Twilight. So let's just go through each of these. And they're just portraits of all the different heroes. It's Captain America. And then we've got Iron Man. If you've not read this story, Chip Zdarsky has done an amazing job with it. I love every issue of it. Has been great. A lot of people say it's copying, I forget, the Batman series that is kind of a similar deal. I forget the name of it. I'll think of it here in a second. But yeah, each one of these is a great cover, a great portrait. And that's something that Alex Ross does really well, are portrait covers. I love this Hawkeye. This is a different Hawkeye, obviously, because it takes place in the future. And then the last one I have here is the Hulk, right? Yeah, so that's each one of those. And then I have a few more. Let's take a look at a few more here. So this was, I'm not going to take this out. If you want to look this up, you can. This is a timeless cover. It's a 3-fold deal. It unfolds both the front and the back into like a 4-panel thing. And it's got all the different, I think, Avengers that ever were. And he does a great job with that. And here are my favorite books by Mr. Ross, and it's The Immortal Hulk. This is Immortal Hulk number 1. And then I have Immortal Hulk number 4. And so Alex Ross, man, he can do no wrong in my eyes. Like everything that he puts out, I want a copy of it usually, and he puts out a lot. You know, he's putting out stuff every month, and I think it's amazing that someone's who has been in the game as long as he has can still put out week after week put out new covers. So let's look at some of the stuff I don't own that I wish I did. 2 old ones and 3 new ones. So first up is the Amazing Spider-Man number 796. This is just a great portrait. Again, this is where he really shines of just Spider-Man's face, and it's just like the amount of detail here, the subtle lines, like everything about it, the reflection in Peter's eyes. It's just iconic. The Dan Slott book. Next up, we have Batman Harley Quinn. Very iconic cover with the Joker and Harley Quinn. And this is really hard, I've heard, to get in a high grade because it's that black cover. And it's one I want to have. I think it takes a $100 bill to get your hands on this, but this is iconic for a reason. Just an awesome cover. Next up, we have some Fantastic Four, some recent Fantastic Four stuff. I wish I was reading Fantastic Four just for the Alex Ross covers. This one is number 20, and it's got Ben on it, and he's like a supermarket employee with his little laser gun, and yeah, this is awesome. Ben Grimm. The Human Torch is on the cover next to him, and they're working at a grocery store. I don't know what else to say. And I don't know what it is about his style and the way he draws, but it's just so unique, and there's something about it that just draws you to it. All right, next up we have Mr. Fantastic on issue number 22 of the Fantastic Four, and it's a Blood Hunt tie-in, and his face is being bitten and stretched. Like, obviously he's the stretchy man. So, but man, like I don't know how he does it, man. Alex Ross is he's amazing. Amazing. And then, okay, so here's a very iconic cover. It's a Spider-Man cover with you got Green Goblin and Gwen Stacy and Peter's eye in the reflection of his Spider-Man suit. This is the Marvels. And I gotta tell you, it's iconic again for a reason. There's so many iconic Alex Ross covers. I don't know how you don't love the man. Last book I have here is Secret Wars number 5. This was recently jumped up in price because people saw it in a Deadpool and Wolverine trailer. I think it's come back down since then. It's really not the issue to buy, other than I think this is a sick cover. I love the cover on this. And Doctor Doom, like, this still has some potential to go up again because Doctor Doom is, obviously, if you're paying attention, was recently announced that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doctor Doom again. So really excited for that. And that is Alex Ross. So that's my number 4. We'll move on to number 3, David Nakayama. Few books to look at here. So the first one, my most recent acquisition here from David, is going to be X-Force number 1. Love everything about this. It's got tacos, it's got unicorns, it's got bunny rabbits, and it's got Deadpool. I think he's got Deadpool pegged. I think it's just a great cover. You always know a David book just from, he's got this DNA logo, David Nakayama. So, next up, we've got The Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. This is an homage cover, except it's got Mary Jane on the front instead of Spider-Girl. And I think he's one of the best doing it pinups. I think him and the next couple artists I have featured here, probably the 3 best in the industry today. Probably debatable, but we will get there. So next up, we have the Ski Chalet cover. It's Spider-Woman. It's a Gang War tie-in, but this was a really cool cover. I like this story, but then I just kind of fell out of it. And but yeah, this was cool. So my favorite Ski Chalet that they probably did next to, well, that or the next one. So we'll look at that one next. when we get to our next artist. But let's take a look at the books that I don't own that I wish I did. So first up is, well, I guess I should get started by saying David's done a lot of Catwoman covers. I don't read Catwoman. I can't afford to spend money on books I'm not going to read. So I've heard this just isn't very good as far as the story goes. But this is an amazing cover. I love the retro purple suit. I love the cute ears. I love the way that it reflects on the leather and lets you know that it's leather, and the subtle line work that's done there. And then just the look on her face, and then she's being injected in her neck. Just everything about this cover is amazing, and I might just have to buy this one just for the cover buy. But it's just he's so good. Next up is Catwoman number 64. And I love this because it's out in outer space, and he's got the cute ears on the helmet, and the oxygen line looks like a tail. And then even the texture, which I know is not him, but it's just very sci-fi like, and I love this cover. Next up, we have Harley Quinn number 44, and I think what I love about this is that it's sexy but tasteful, and I love the hair, and I love the unique color choices, which I know is not him again, but also the attire choices, like the outfit. Like, I think it's just really cool. It's just different than what you normally see on Harley Quinn. Next up, we've got Hellions number 18. Maybe not quite so tasteful all the time. Goblin Queen here, Madeline Pryor with the flame hands and just the pose, and I love everything about this. I just love the way he does light and just the subtle line work, and of course, obviously, it's a pinup, so obviously the appeal. Next up, we have Thundercats number 5. We have Cheetara, which I just thought I would feature this one because it's not DC or Marvel and just kind of cool to show something different, but another just great pinup drawing. Next, we have X-Men number 32. And I think what I love about this one is just the facial expression and the hair and just the proportions. Like, everything is just beautiful. It's a great great cover. All right, that's it for David. Let's move on to J. Scott Campbell. Okay, let's look at what I got for J. Scott Campbell. So the first one, which is my most recent book that I got, is another Psylocke cover. You can tell I like Psylocke. This is X-Men number 1, the latest iteration. This is from the Ashes in 2024, and he's doing one of these for each issue, so I'm going to try and get them all if I can. But I really love this. This is actually kind of an homage cover. He's done this for Black Widow. There's a piece that's very similar to this, and I want that one too. But yeah, all around just cool book. Next up, we've got The Amazing Spider-Man number 40. This is Mary Jane Watson, and it's a ski chalet cover just like the Spider-Woman one, and I just think it's pretty. I think it's just a good cover, and I love that the skis are like Spider-Man. Everything about this cover, the freckles, that's the one thing he always does. Mary Jane gives her freckles, and with her red hair. And I love these pinups, man. He's one of the best. I like him just a little bit more than David, just because he does more Spider-Man stuff, and I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. But yeah, that is that one. Next up, we've got from 2020, we've got Spider-Woman, and this is just a cool cover. I don't know what else to say about it. Great lines, great colors. I saw this at a convention and just had to have it. It's just one of those books again. Last but not least, this is my favorite cover. It's signed as well. It's Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. Got this off of his website. It's got certificate of authenticity on it. But this is just, I totally relate to this. I'm married and have kids, and Mary Jane is sexy as hell in this cover, man. It's an homage to 601. I think it's better than 601. I don't know. This is one of my favorite covers of all time, and I can't believe I own one. I was lucky enough to get one, and yeah, it's surprising that Campbell's not my favorite artist, but you'll understand when you see who is my favorite, I think. But let's get into the stuff that I really want to get, but have not yet. First up, we have Spider-Man ASM number 601, which is what this is based off of. And this is probably the book that I want more than anything. It's an expensive book, over $100, and it's because it's a key. There was some online debate, argument. I don't know. But I love everything about this cover. I think Mary Jane is beautiful, and you got Spider-Man in the background, and the coffee. I'm a huge coffee lover, so this just speaks to me. And even the jeans, and I just, there's nothing that needs to be said about this cover that hasn't been said before by someone else, but I love this cover. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, number 606. I love this because it's Black Cat kissing Peter, and you kind of got Mary Jane in the distance, like, right? So just beautiful, beautiful drawing. The other thing about Campbell that he does is that they're not just portraits. A lot of times they have something else going on. There's just more to them, and I think that's what makes me like him a little bit more than David. Yeah, next up we've got Amazing Spider-Man number 607, and there's an homage cover to this too for Ultimate Spider-Man. I'd like to get that one as well, but this one's really cool because it's Black Cat, and she's just wearing like Peter's top part of his costume, which is just, I don't know, it's like every guy's dream to see a girl wearing a long t-shirt of his. So it's just a cool cover that way. Next up, this is a more recent one. This is ASM number 25. This is a Zeb Wells run. I just wasn't in comics at the time when this came out. I think this was also an exclusive. I don't know. I love it because it's got Gwen, it's got Black Cat, and it's also got Mary Jane, of course. And they're all just kind of, you know, doing different expressions, different looks, and I think he just drew them really well. And I love the feel of this. Just kind of a cool book. Next up, just to show you something different that is not just pinups, is Batman Spawn number 1. This was just a one-off crossover event, but I think he actually did the best job of getting both characters. The Spawn could be a little bit better, but overall, this was just a great cover. Last but not least, just to show you a DC one, this is Harley Quinn, Villain of the Year number 1. A couple of awesome pinups. I love the way he does pinups. That's probably my second favorite. Get to number 1 here in a minute. Just great pictures of Harley Quinn with a little bit of the Joker on there. And yeah, that is J. Scott Campbell. So moving on to number 1. Number 1 is Stanley Artgerm Lau. Lou? I don't know. All right, so let's look at what I got. So I've got 3 books here to show off. This one's a little bit hard because it is a foil. See, that's kind of foiled. But this is the White Rabbit, and this is Batman and Robin number 1. It is just amazing. The tail, the corset, the ears, the sexy look on her face, like, this is an amazing cover. And yeah, that's I don't know what else you say about that. That's awesome. Right, so moving on, we've got Fall of the House of X number 1. This is Magic, and I love this cover. I think she's beautiful in it. I think that the look in her eyes, like, I think he captured her really well. And the only thing about this is the story stunk, so I didn't really continue with it, but at least I got this sweet cover out of it. Last but not least, my favorite cover that I own probably right now, and it's Zatanna Bring Down the House #1. It's the Art Germ variant, and I mean, it's just it's so hard to describe my feelings for this book, but it's just, yeah, it's banging, dude. Like, Zatanna's one of my favorite characters. I've really loved reading this story, which has just made me appreciate the cover that much more. But just the line work and the shadows and just everything about this cover, yeah, I can't say anything more about it. It's awesome. All right, so let's move on to what I don't own that I wish I did. So first up, we've got, this is a swimsuit variant, Action Comics number 1046. I believe this is Supergirl. I don't know. It's a beautiful cover. Love the detail in the swimsuit. I love that it's not just a swimsuit. It's got kind of like frills and different stuff going on. Just the look on her face, the wind in her hair. It's just a beautiful piece. One thing I can say about this is I wish the Superman was drawn a little bit better. I think that's kind of the weak point on this one. All right, moving on. We got 2 sketch covers by Stan Lee. Art Germ. We got Batman 131, not much color at all. Just a really well drawn Batman, one of the best drawn Batman covers I've seen. Really just amazing. I'm sure there's some better ones out there, but this is a great showcase of what Art Germ can do. And same thing with this one, number 133. I love this Joker cover. Love the expression, the teeth, the look, the eyes, just everything about this is awesome. Okay, now we move on to Power Girl Special #1. I love the hair and the look and the pose, and then you have the jets in the background and the glitter. Like, it's just beautiful, great, and obviously I can't ignore the fact that she's sexy as hell, and it's a great pinup. Next up, we've got Sins of Sinister #1. I have not read this. I don't know much about it at all, but this Emma Frost cover is sick. You got the stockings, and you have the corset, and she's got that menacing look. Just an awesome, awesome cover. Next up, we've got a booty pose by Starfire. And I love the look in her face and the eyes and the hair. Everything about this cover is awesome. This is Tales of Titan #1. I don't know what you could argue about with this cover. If you like pinups, this is just an awesome, spectacular cover. Next up, we've got Wonder Woman issue #1. This is just a beautiful cover, lots of detail, very realistic, and one of the better Wonder Woman covers I've seen. Last up, we have Wonder Woman #65. I just love that look. It's just kind of like, I don't know. There's something mesmerizing about the way she's looking off into the distance, and I think she's drawn very tastefully and very detailed and realistic, and it's just an awesome cover. So that is my list, guys. What did you think? Did I overrate some artists? Did I underrate others? Is there people that I missed? Is there people that don't belong on the list? So put a message in the comments. Let me know. Thanks for taking the time to swing by and check this out. If you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next one.